you're a big part of this, Cody. When the Roman era, what I call the Roman era, kind of because it just happened, it felt like almost out of nowhere, kind of. You know what I mean? Started really getting over. And then I was like, this story's got to balance itself out. And then you came in, and then it became about a story. And like that, I'd been watching wrestling, but casually again. Like I couldn't, you know, I'm so busy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I started calling friends like, yo, am I tripping, or is like wrestling getting like crazy good again?
Oh, man.
And they were like, dude, you got to tune in. This was a few years, 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Pandemic is right after coming out, going into 21, 22. And I just could not quit watching.
Yeah.
And then what did it the most for me is that you went all the way to WrestleMania 39 and lost. And I had a moment right then where I was like, I was so sad for you, but I was so happy as a wrestling fan that I was like, long-term stories are back. They have found a way to feed us our need in social media era to give me my quick fix every week.
Yeah.
But they've also found a way to drag me along for a really long ride. And I was like, because if Cody comes back to WrestleMania next year, this will be one of the greatest eras in wrestling history. I felt it then. And as we started leading up and everything starts playing itself out, and then the curveballs come, and then
They come.
all that crazy shit happens going into 40, and then the fans ultimately decide. It was like, I'm getting goosebumps, dog.
No, it's
You catch them. Real goosebumps, bro. Like legit chicken skin, as we call it. In the music business, we call that money bump. A money bump.
chicken skin,
Money bumps.
money bumps.
Yeah, if
chicken
you're
skin.
writing a song and you get the money bumps,
Yeah.
it's a thing. But I just remember being like, man, this is really, really cool.
For me, it became, I had in my mind, we're gonna get back. The whole point, the story, we're, whatever the long-term plans may be, I think they're there, we're gonna get back. But the issue with we're gonna get back became, I have to do something for the next 300 and something days that continues to capture their imagination honestly, that continues to make them say the phrase that all wrestlers want them to say. That's my guy. It's my guy, that's my girl. That's why I tune in. And it sounded easy before WrestleMania 39. And then as soon as it was over, it sounded like, there's no way. There's just no way. And that's why when the situation happened in Birmingham where I wasn't going to wrestle at WrestleMania, that's why I thought just a moment where I thought it's just not meant to be. It's just not meant to be, and maybe it is my fault, maybe it's not. It was just really tricky, but I'm so glad that we got to complete it. And I'm so glad for the curveball, because the curveball kind of dictates more long-term stories. And just, I'm glad you enjoyed it, because on this bus, I actually talked with Matt, who we've talked about before, my driver, Matt. He's one of the only people I got to tell, like, this is not gonna be easy. This is gonna be really hard. We were staying after shows for sometimes an hour. They'd have to throw us out of the building, trying to meet as many people as we could. And it wasn't for a viral video. It wasn't for anything like that. It was for an actual, hey, I really enjoyed being here tonight. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna be back. And when I come back, I'm gonna bring the title. And every time we said that, I'm thinking, man, if I do not come back to Manchester and, the United Kingdom, or to Mobile, if I do not come back to Bakersfield, I'm a liar.
Right.
And as a babyface, you can't be a liar.
Right.
And I just, oh man, so I'm so glad you said that, because I think we have better stuff ahead, but also I think I'm aware enough, and hopefully not delusional. I think I'm aware enough to know if that was the best. It was quite a ride.
Yeah.
Quite a fun time. And I'm glad you jumped back in, and you talked about wrestling,
Oh, well, I'm gonna give you some good news, brother.
Yeah.
Everything that we do in art is lined out in decades.
Yeah?
Like when you look at music, and first thing we talked about, 90s country. You started this podcast with a era of music.
Oh yeah.
I am honored to say that we will share the 2020s together.
Oh yes.
So I know that your best days are not done yet. I know your best days. I know the wildest curveballs in your career are in front of you, not behind you.
Yeah.
I know that because we are in the middle of this decade, and we got to close it.
Oh.
For us to make the books the way we want to make them,
Absolutely. To
We got to
closing
close
it.
these, baby.
Yes.
We got to close this decade strong.
Well, to closing it, as unbelievable as that is, and you were talking about the book, sharing the book. You've got this good story, and I completely get you because Attitude Era. I remember, third and fourth grade before the era, I had one buddy who liked wrestling. We'd talk about wrestling. We'd talk about the pay-per-views. Ordering them wasn't the simplest of things. Where are you going to watch? Did you see? Go into Blockbuster or Hollywood Video and get an old VHSs. I got this. I got that. Hasbro collection. All this stuff. But then Attitude Era comes and I got a full living room. And I'm behind everybody watching what I always knew.
Yeah.
And I'm, okay, yeah, all right. But part of me thought like, I don't know if they deserve this. I don't know if they deserve this. But who was it that because you're talking about watching and growing up and wanting to stand in the ring. Who was it that you liked the most? Who was your guy?
Man, obviously a really sensitive week to discuss it, but I was a Hulkamaniac like every kid that's 41. I'm 41. So that's the easiest way to kind of age it is like, I thought the Ultimate Warrior was the evilest human on earth. You know what I mean? And I thought Hulk Hogan was the greatest guy ever. You know what I mean? And then I got to watch going into the Attitude Era. Yeah. And that was like coming into my teenage years. Okay. So that was like when it really started getting cool. Yeah. And it was, of course, obviously The Rock, Stone Cold, Steve Austin. Yeah. I still think arguably the greatest storyline and one of the greatest characters ever is The Undertaker and Kane. Man, just like.
Sure. That's gotta be Kane.
You know what's cool? I was comparing this to my wife the other night. I got an 8-year-old son who's in light of me getting him. So WrestleMania 40 was the first time he kind of tuned in. Okay. Right? It's like, and we had the funniest conversation the other day. I don't know if you can use this or not, but if you can, I respect it. But he goes, Dad, The Rock's our friend, right? I seen the video. I was like, he's our friend, man. He's actually one of the. You talking about a guy who gave me a chance early? Yeah. Before Theo's podcast, even The Rock was in my DMs encouraging me. Like, I had 80,000 Instagram followers. Yeah. You know what I mean? He's the most famous person on Instagram. Like, yo, I love this song. It was so crazy. But I was like, The Rock's our buddy, and I didn't know where that was going. I was just excited. I was a proud dad. Like, yeah, the guy you think's really cool is my friend. Yes. And then he goes, his face gets flat, and he goes, why was he so mean to Cody? And I was like, oh, you're getting in it, huh? Yeah. And he was like, I am. And I was like, cool. But I thought about him being at that age where like, that was where I was around the Hulk's era. Yeah. And then as wrestling grew, it's almost like wrestling grew with me. Yeah. Because like by the time I was 13, it was Austin 316 said, I just whipped your ass. And it was a little more edgy because obviously I was getting a little more edgy. Yeah. You know what I mean? But it reminded me in that moment of my son of like, I needed to have that conversation with him because sometimes I look at wrestling from my perspective as a 41-year-old man who's watched it for 31 years or 32 years. Yeah. I forgot the magic of which. Yeah. You know what I mean? Oh, buddy, I love a show that is flanked with the really nuanced, really hardcore thinking. Let's get our core audience. And I love one that's also just flanked by, hey, this is a simple story we're telling. There's kids out there. Yeah. They like Bianca whipping her hair around. Yeah. There's certain things that connect with and that are magic. And I love them all being on the same show. So I know completely what you mean. And what I told my son was, we watched together, and the Wyatt 6 comes out. And I watched my 8-year-old son get a little uncomfortable. Oh, okay. Like I kind of watched him shift a little. Yeah. And he kind of looked at me to make sure, you know how kids are. They look at me to make sure it's cool. I was like, it's good. I said, watch this, they're fun. I just kind of watch this, they're fun. But it reminded me, and of course I'm gonna get crucified online because this is no comparison. But the closest thing that he's ever gonna feel to how I felt the first time I heard dong and the lights went out. And I was like, what's going on right now? I watched him have a similar moment when the lights went out for the Wyatt 6. You know what I mean? And all these creepy characters. And then I get to tell him the story about Bray. And like, then it gets deep, and then it's like, because then he goes, oh, that really happened. I'm like, yeah, sadly it did. He was a really good guy, and he really passed away at a young age, and he meant a lot to the sport, and these people are keeping his memory and name alive. So now it's like, the depth of that. You know what I mean? Yeah. For my 8-year-old son who went from like being kind, of course I say this all the time, I was scared of Undertaker until I was like late teens, you know what I mean? I'm still halfway afraid of him, by the way.
Yeah.
When you see him in person, he's still relatively nicest guy ever, but he's still, you know, the Undertaker. But it was cool to see him have that kind of a moment, and for us to share that moment.
Of course.
And it reminded me that the generational storytelling y'all do is generational for us.
Sure.
And I'd never connected that dot neither for some reason.
Yeah.
I was always so fascinated with you and your father and Randy and his, and like just even at the PC, you know this, and I won't say their names, but like it feels like everybody's got a kid at the PC.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like I hate to say it that way. That's the truth. It's fun.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
I was like, this really is the most generational business.
That's what we do.
You know, I was like, but then it reminded me of how generational the storytelling was.
Yeah.
That my mama sat me down and took me to Smoky Mountain Wrestling for the first time. You know what I mean? And that my mama
Was that the first one you went to?
I'm pretty
Mountain?
sure. I think we went to East Tennessee to see a Smoky Mountain.
Oh, I love that.
And the Nashville Fairgrounds had tons of them.
Well,
so
also Smoky Mountain, you were guaranteed that it was good storytelling.
For sure.
Disciplined, good storytelling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Gosh, Smoky Mountain. And I wonder, you know, I think it's totally, you were talking about Hogan. There's a moment from the Hoosier Dome. That's my favorite Hogan moment. I think it's the Hoosier Dome, but it's where he walks out, takes in the crowd, and he puts his hands on his hips. And he just does a 360 to turn around and take them all in.
All with the hands on the hip?
Yeah, and it just feels like that moment of knowing maybe this run is kind of winding down or already has, but what a run. Like you're talking about a decade, closing a decade out, carrying it as long as you can. I didn't think Hogan was going to be your guy.
Yeah, no.
I might have judged a book by its cover there.
No, well, you had to think about my age. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like age-wise, I was like 8 years old when Hulkamania was like in its prime.
Oh man.
7, like I was at the ripe age to, and it was also, I think about it now too, and I feel this way about you. I hope you don't take this wrong. It's like also such a good role model.
Well, I'm a terrible role model.
Oh, you're a great role model. Yeah, it's like my son looks at you the way I looked at Hogan.
Oh man.
Like you're the all-American good guy that's there to serve justice and fight. You know what I mean?
Bro,
like,
you've made me feel so good. I'm about to run out there and just have every heel bump and feed for me for 10. I feel great.
No, I'm telling you,
man.
dude, this is real. It's like, it reminded me of that because my son gets it, like the American flag.
Yeah.
Like these were like the things that were big for Hogan. Remember Hogan, eat your vitamins. You know what I mean?
Same
I remember my
person.
mama tricked me into eating vitamins, the Flintstone vitamins, because they were Flintstone. I'd be like, I don't want them, they taste bad. I'd be like, Hulk Hogan said. I'd be like, okay, if Hogan said it, I'll do it.